Hi everyone and welcome. I'm Noelle from Barre, and this is a yin sequence that is sure to give you some openness and expansion through the upper body. So we are targeting the large intestine and the lungs. These are the meridian channels that are governed towards the upper body and the arms. So I invite you down to your space. We will need a few props today per normal. So make sure you have some sort of pillow or support that's softer, maybe some yoga blocks, a strap, a blanket, or a towel. And I'm gonna have us come in towards a tabletop position. I'm gonna start facing the camera just so you can see. So just from a tabletop position, I just want you to start to slowly circle around through the hands as we just start to breathe. Nice rotations in and out. Our lung meridian line starts internal around the lungs and it moves outwards and it ends in the thumb. And then our large intestine starts towards the lateral portion of our hands and our fingers and moves inwards. So I just want us to get a sense of how the body feels today. We're going to be coming from this tabletop position. Let's just take a nice soft reset here as we inhale, drop through the lower belly, pull the heart forward, breathe in, exhale, round to ground as you take your cat pose. And as we slowly breathe and just offer a little spinal articulation here, I just want you to center your thoughts. Using a few deep breaths here to turn down the noise of life so we can turn in to ourselves. Good. One more big breath in and big breath out. Our first position is going to be coming from a tabletop position. So we're going to be coming down towards what looks like a thread the needle. We call this rolling panda. You'll see why. But in case you need any additional support, you might want something soft underneath that shoulder. So from here, I always like to start with a little opening. So I'm going to take my right arm, your right arm, inhale, open all the way up, and just give a nice little twist. And then exhale, thread the needle, kind of slide it in, but we're not going to settle just yet. Okay? Inhale, open all the way up. Exhale, twist. Good. One more. Inhale, open. Exhale, twist. Okay, bring yourself back. Now I want you to extend your left leg out to the side. And I'm going to utilize a strap as well. I'm just going to kind of throw it over onto the left side. And I'm even going to hook my foot so it's ready. Okay, so now I'm going to come back to that open book. I'm going to inhale, open with my left arm. And this time, exhale, I'm going to thread the needle. And I'm going to kind of reach all the way as much as I can to tuck that left arm underneath my shoulder. Sorry, I'm just going to bring my watch here so I don't keep us here longer than we need to. Now you can see I've got access to this strap, which might help me just kind of wiggle myself under more. The left arm can stabilize, or it can wrap around the back. Now this is where that rolling panda comes in because we want to start to turn the chest towards the ceiling and you might actually roll over. But don't worry, they're really cute when they roll over. I spent some time in China seeing pandas, and when they roll over, they're just too cute. So from here, we start to find a very deep breath because we're slightly twisted. We're compressing the shoulder. We're opening up maybe that top arm. So just get to know the breath differently here. Breathing in, breathing out. Okay. Full breaths. You'll notice the capacity of your inhales is probably a little smaller than normal. And as we keep settling into this position, let's call it to the areas of the body where we feel a little tension or tightness. So as we close off this entire bottom arm, kind of pressing into that shoulder, we're targeting almost both of the meridian lines there. And as we rotate through the sticky part of our back, We're getting in towards the lung meridian. And if you think about what the lungs are responsible for, holding our breath, carrying the breath, delivering oxygen, our lungs are full of vitality. And if you visualize the inside of your lungs and imagine 2 bunches of grapes in your lungs. When we're young, when we're youthful, feeling vibrant, the grapes are full, juicy, very healthy. But often as we age and the experiences of life start to weigh on us, our grapes start to shrivel up into raisins because we breathe from a shallow place and we only use the top part of our lungs. You can maybe visualize this with someone in your life that you know is a bit older, has a hard time walking upstairs or doing physical activities. So I really want you to think of the gift of every breath that's carrying life, rejuvenation, and I want you to try to breathe into the bottom lobes of your lungs. Okay, we're about halfway there. Notice if the face started to grip or the jaw started to tighten. Continue to look for those spaces where we can soften, relax, release. Right, we're at our final 30 seconds here. So we're just going to bring a little bit deeper awareness into the breath, into the body. Finding fuller inhales, bigger exhales. Take about 3 more. In through the nose, out through the mouth. 2 more. Last one. If the left arm is behind the back, just very slowly, start to bring it over. And then use that hand to start to bring yourself up to the top. I miscalculated my knee sensitivity, so I had to grab that blanket halfway through. All right, I'm just gonna move everything to the other side as we prepare. I like to start in that tabletop. I have a really sticky thoracic recently. So with the hand, you can take a few cow-cat resets if you just feel like you need to move here. Usually our yin practices are 75 minutes, so we give you lots of time to rebound, to enjoy those poses. But through this little summer stretch, we're bringing you some 30-minute practices so that we can, get in what we need to and keep moving on to the adventures. So, right arm, big window, open it up. Kidding. Thread the needle underneath. You probably use the right arm, I just didn't. Inhale, open the left side. Exhale, thread the needle. Okay. One more, inhale to open. And exhale to thread. Okay, we'll set up for that little rolling panda. So we'll extend the right leg out to the side. And I like to really seal the foot. We're getting just this added bonus of stretching through the ligaments on the outer and inner portion of that right side. So take your left arm, start to thread it all the way underneath. If you liked the strap on that side, that just gives you that ability to kind of pull that shoulder underneath a little bit more. Tuck it, tuck it. Okay, reaching the arm forward or behind the back if you liked that addition. And then let the hips kind of sit down and turn the chest towards the sky. And a few deep breaths here to just feel this side is going to offer something different. Although we strive for that balance, we want to stay very alert and very aware with what's going on with every breath, in every shape. We came to understand the importance and the physical aspect of our lungs. But in traditional Chinese medicine and in yin, we believe that every meridian line and every organ holds a high responsibility to also our emotional balances and our mental bodies. So the lungs help us govern boundaries. So if we could just isolate that idea towards our relationships, I want you to think either past or present. Do any relationships pop up that you've had in your life that have kind of broken the boundaries? They've overstepped in some way, shape, or form, making you feel uncomfortable, irritated, underappreciated. And were any relationships in your life noticeable with healthy boundaries? This could be a working relationship, a loving relationship, a friendship. And oftentimes, the boundaries that we establish are connected to ourselves, our ability to uphold that belief, that structure, our voice. And maybe you feel like you need to set some boundaries in your current relationships. Does anything feel too demanding? Also, too assumed. Sometimes we can get so comfortable with somebody, they assume it won't be a problem, or they assume we'll do this, or they assume we'll do that. Just continue to make sure that we revisit so that both parties in that relationship are being seen, being heard, and being appreciated. Right, we're into our final minute here. Be with your breath. Let's look at those last 3 inhales and exhales a little bit fuller. Invite the breath in and out. 2 more just like that. Okay, start to slowly bring that arm back around if it was wrapped. Use it to help untuck that shoulder. Okay. Just invite us into a soft child's pose. I like this little closed shell position we can have that will just let the arms kind of wrap behind us so we can take a moment to reset and restore. Observing the shoulders. Take another nice breath in and out. Bringing yourself up to the top. Our next series is going to bring us down onto the back. Just going to move things so you can see. So if you have a pillow, or you want to make like a nice little comfortable thing, even if you have yoga blocks, this would work, but I would just highly recommend kind of putting maybe a blanket or a towel on top of the yoga block so that there's more cushion, because this is going to drape, we're going to drape over top of the bolster. So from here, it's going to be 5 minutes in total, but we're going to change our arms. I'll also just show you what this is like. So begin to bring yourself down so that you are kind of across the broadest part of the shoulder blades and the back, and then the head is going to be able to melt over. If for some reason dropping the head back is too much, you can certainly slide the pillow or block underneath. But this nice lift, again, lungs, we're lifting up through that top rib cage. We're going to take eagle arms here. So eagle arms is like a double wrap, tucking the right elbow underneath and then wrapping around. So if you can achieve your eagle arms, the position looks like this. We're going to kind of carry the elbows over and you start to kind of close off your nose or your face a little bit as the arms fall. Okay? So if this is good, assume that position again with the head drop. That's going to create higher intensity there. And in case we can't double the arms, you can hold a single, or you might be able to grab a short towel, or if you do have the strap, that can help keep the arms together. Yeah, you can just use a strap like this. All right, and we're gonna go up and over. You start. I'm gonna try to keep time here for us. So we're 2.5 minutes on one side and 2.5 minutes on the other. So as I said before, that large intestine kind of comes up on the outer sides of the arms. So really rolling panda helps stimulate both. Right, but what does our large intestine do? It helps us eliminate, it helps us let go, absorb certain things that we need, but if we don't need it, it knows to release it. The problem is our mind and heart don't always work in such an optimal fashion. Big full breaths into the chest. So it's very human nature to kind of go through with temptations or cravings. Don't talk to me about cravings right now. Oy, oy, oy. The baby has so many cravings. and I totally am tempted and I give in. But in a normal sense, right? We give the mind a lot to chew on and the heart a lot to chew on, but it doesn't always know when to let go. So what's taking up some prime real estate? That's old news, old feelings, that diminishes our worth. We're about halfway there. Okay. Let's take a nice deep breath all the way in, all the way out. Okay, slowly release the arms. The good news here is if you do need a minute or two, you can just pause the video and come back. But if you're going to continue with me, we're just going to go right into the other side. So remember, you can always slide that block in if you need a little bit less. Okay, left arm goes underneath the right, wrapping once or twice. I'm going to make sure I'm not going to disturb my microphone. Left arm, okay. There we go. And we're in. Ooh, hello. Okay, so my body's talking to me on this side a little bit differently than that other side. So just for yourself, pay attention. You might have to back off or just take some adjustments. Our shoulders are one of the most hypermobile joints in the body, though their kind of aim is to provide stability most of the time. Shoulder injuries and tightness tend to be quite common in my community. So I notice an upper body yin class is not real desirable, so I hope you stuck with it. But I would argue that sometimes we need the upper body even more than we need the lower body sometimes. It's a lot harder to sit with this type of intensity. Okay, we have about 45 seconds left. Try to breathe in between the shoulder blades and the back body. Let's take our breath in. Big inhale. Big exhale. Start to slowly unravel the arms. Okay. And then carefully, maybe rolling to one side. There we go. Bring yourself all the way up to the top. Okay. We've got one more fiery little arm stance for us. So this is called lounging monkey. I've seen many monkeys in the wild, and they're always a good hoot and a half. So we're going to kind of bring them into the mat today. So lounging monkey, we're going to be kind of coming back onto the arms. So I just tucked the bolster underneath my low back to give me a little support, which is going to prevent me from totally leaning in. Now, what I want you to pay attention to, especially if you experience maybe hyperextension or if you have any tendinitis throughout the elbows, is that you might need a bit more support at the elbows. So you can always bring the bolster or the pillows back to support the elbow weight. The distance between the hands is 100% your choice. This is where you have to navigate this. And what I mean by that is some of you might like your arms out quite wide, but the closer together they tend to be, the more extreme if you can kind of walk the hands in. That's just going to depend on your flexibility and your body, okay? The other thing, you can go in if you know where you're going, but the other thing I will show you is a little bit of a ramp. So you can use your blocks if you have them, and you can build a ramp with your bolsters. It goes back. These are pretty big blocks. Let's see how I do here. Okay. And then what happens is I'm going to slowly bring myself back onto my blocks for support, and then I'm going to reach my arms back behind you, and then maybe you can even rest the head. If you don't have support, I encourage you to keep the chin tucked. All right? So let's say we've got about 4 minutes or so here in our lounging monkey. And this is full of fire. There's another yin practice specifically for the fire element of the heart, which is stimulating the upper body as well. But we're tapping into a bit of that here in this position. For me, it's quite nervy. And so we just want to kind of continue to calm the body because we don't feel that nerviness often. So there might be a reaction or an impulse to want to move. But come back to that deep breathing. Remember, try to reach the bottoms of the lungs with every inhale. Slow, controlled exhale. And we learn the power of the breath here. If we're able to combat the intensity with some deep breathing, then this skill will hopefully translate off the mat. So if we have conflict or challenge in life, in our relationships, we know we can take a few deep breaths so that we can recenter our reactions. We can calm our impulses. And we can move forward with a bit more clarity. Just about 90 seconds left. Let's find 3 deep breaths. Inhale fully. Exhale completely. 2 more, breathing in and out. Last one. Good. Where you are, kind of like a spider, start to kind of crawl the arms back in. Good. We're going to head towards our Savasana, but if you just need a moment, feel free to kind of relax forward with the arms down. Give yourself all the time you need here. Again, you can always pause the video, but I'm going to invite us into our Savasana now. And this will be a nice little open heart position. So we're going to come back to that bolster just like we had it for our eagle arms. Move things to the side. And I'm going to invite you to come down, but this time we're just going to allow the body to drape over the bolster, over the props. The arms can take up as much real estate as they want. Feel free to support the head, or it might touch the mat behind you. And just give yourself an opportunity to feel full of inhales and exhales, full of breath, vitality, of possibility, clearing through any of the cobwebs, gaining clarity for ourselves, for our life. invite you to continue resting here for as long as you need. As always, it's been such a gift to host your practice, and I look forward to meeting you on the mat again soon. Namaste, yogis.